If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. All right, Jets fans, buckle up, because this one's about to get spicy. There's a storm brewing in the NFL, and it's centered around one name, Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, that's Shedeur Sanders, Deion's kid. The Colorado star who made headlines all through college football and now, somehow, is at the heart of a growing movement in New York. The buzz right now? The Jets should trade for him. And not just in some hypothetical off-season fantasy league. No, we're talking right now, before the trade deadline hits next month. The energy around this is getting louder by the day, and honestly, it's hard not to feel that momentum building. Now, let's rewind the tape for a second, because the story here is layered. The New York Jets had every possible opportunity to snag Shedeur Sanders in the 2025 NFL Draft. I mean, the guy didn't even go off the board until pick number 144. That's deep, like fifth-round deep. Teams passed on him, again and again, and the Jets were one of them. They had multiple chances to call his name, to take a swing, to take that risk. But they didn't. Instead, Cleveland took him late, and now, just a few months later, he's making noise in the Browns locker room. Not because he's starting, at least, not yet, but because the Browns clearly see something in him. They just promoted him to the number 2 spot on their depth chart, right after trading away Joe Flacco to the Bengals. That move wasn't random. It was deliberate. It was the Browns saying, "We believe in this kid." But here's where the plot thickens. The Jets, right now, are in quarterback purgatory. It's the same old story, right? A franchise that has talent across the board, a defense that can hold its own against anyone in the league, a roster that looks like it's almost there, and yet, the offense just can't get out of its own way. Week after week, fans are left watching this ugly, sputtering, frustrating brand of football that makes you want to throw your remote through the TV. And that's where this Shedeur Sanders movement starts making sense. Earlier this week on WFAN, during Evan and Tiki, host Evan Roberts went off, and honestly, it was one of those rants that perfectly captures what every frustrated Jets fan has been screaming at their screen. He said, and I quote, "It is time for the Jets to acquire Shedeur Sanders from the Cleveland Browns. Someone tell me why that's a bad idea, and I don't want to hear about it being a circus. What's this? What the hell is this that we're watching? Circus, that's a circus. Bad, crappy football is a circus." You can feel that emotion. You can feel that exhaustion. This isn't just about wanting a new quarterback. It's about wanting hope again. Roberts didn't stop there. He even laid out the deal himself. If he were Jets GM Darren Moogie, he'd call up Cleveland and offer a 5th-round pick. "Here's your 5th back," he said. "Let's get Shedeur in here and see what the kid's got." Because why not? That, why not, is the perfect summary of this whole debate. The Jets have tried everything else. They've signed veterans, traded for backups, rotated through rookies, and yet the offense still can't function. So why not try something bold? Why not take a chance on a kid who has the pedigree, the swagger, the leadership, and that electric arm that made him one of college football's biggest names? And Roberts isn't alone on this hill. Other voices in New York sports radio, Chris McMonagle, Joe Bonino, and several others, have echoed the same sentiment. Go get Shedeur. Before it's too late. Before another season goes down the drain. Before this defense gets wasted again, just like we saw last year. The message is clear. If the Jets don't take a swing now, when will they? Now, let's look at what's actually happening on the field, because this isn't just about talk show speculation. The Jets' offense, right now, is borderline unwatchable. In Week 6, Justin Fields went 9-for-17 for just 45 yards. 45. That's not just a bad stat line. That's a cry for help. That's an offense stuck in quicksand, gasping for any kind of spark. It's the kind of performance that leaves the fanbase wondering if literally anyone else could do worse. And honestly, Shedeur Sanders couldn't possibly do worse. Of course, it's not that simple. The Browns aren't exactly eager to give up on Sanders. Offensive coordinator Tommy Rees has been glowing in his praise lately. He said Sanders has been doing a nice job in his preparation, understanding the game plan, and making the most of his opportunities. That's coach speak for "we like what we see." And when a coaching staff is saying that about a rookie quarterback, especially one taken in the later rounds, that means they're intrigued. They see something worth developing. So, the question becomes, would Cleveland even pick up the phone? From the outside, it doesn't look likely. Sanders just got bumped up to QB2, meaning he's one injury or one bad stretch away from seeing real NFL action. Trading him now would be a strange move for a franchise that clearly wants to see what he's capable of. But then again, this is the NFL. Things change fast. One call, one offer, one front office conversation can turn no way into maybe. And if you're the Jets, you have to at least make that call. You owe it to your fans. You owe it to your locker room. Because at this point, it's not about making the playoffs or chasing a miracle run. It's about proving that the organization still has fight left in it. It's about showing that they're willing to take risks, to be aggressive, to go after the kind of players who can actually change the energy in that building. Now, let's talk about Shedeur himself, because this isn't just about his last name. Sure, being Deion Sanders' son gets you attention, but Shedeur has earned his own spotlight. At Colorado, he showed poise, accuracy, and leadership that belied his age. He stood tall in the pocket behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football and still put up impressive numbers week after week. He's got that mental toughness, that confidence, that prime DNA. And more importantly, he's got the kind of cool-headed swagger that the New York media market thrives on. He doesn't shrink under pressure. He welcomes it. Can you imagine that energy in the Jets locker room? Imagine Shedeur walking into that huddle, looking Garrett Wilson in the eye, and saying, "Let's go make a play." Imagine the morale boost that could give a team desperate for a spark. Even if he's not ready to take over right away, just the presence of a guy like Shedeur changes the vibe. It gives fans something to believe in again. Of course, there's risk. There's always risk. Maybe he's not ready for NFL speed yet. Maybe he still needs to develop his timing, his footwork, his pocket awareness. Maybe Cleveland knows something the rest of the league doesn't. But if you're the Jets, and you've been rolling out this kind of offensive misery week after week, don't you at least owe it to yourself to find out? To take that gamble? Because right now, doing nothing feels worse than doing the wrong thing. Doing nothing feels like giving up. And New York fans can stomach a lot, but apathy isn't one of those things. They want to see effort, vision, and guts. They want to see a front office that's not afraid to make a splash. And Shedeur Sanders, love him or hate him, would be a splash. So, as the trade deadline approaches, all eyes are going to be on Darren Moogie and the Jets front office. The whispers are already there, the talk shows are buzzing, and social media is fanning the flames. Cleveland says they're committed to Shedeur's development, but we've seen commitment vanish overnight in this league. If the right offer lands on their desk, say a fifth-round pick, maybe even a conditional fourth, who knows what could happen. For now, though, the saga continues. The Browns have their plans, the Jets have their problems, and the fans? Well, the fans are dreaming. Dreaming of a new start. Dreaming of an offense that doesn't make Sundays feel like chores. Dreaming of a kid named Shedeur Sanders stepping onto that MetLife turf, wearing green and white, and bringing a little bit of that primetime magic to a franchise that's been starved for it for far too long. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. The sports world is buzzing tonight after what might be one of the most unexpected public outbursts in recent memory. Myles, known for his usually composed demeanor both on and off the field, has apparently reached the end of his rope, and he didn't hold back in a fiery message directed straight at DILLON. Rumors began swirling earlier this week after insiders hinted at growing tension between the two, but what we saw unfold in recent hours seems to confirm that the simmering conflict has finally boiled over. According to sources close to the team, the situation has been festering for months, quietly escalating behind closed doors. Myles, who has long been celebrated not only for his athletic prowess, but also for his leadership qualities, apparently grew increasingly frustrated with what he perceives as DILLON's repeated missteps, both in play execution and interpersonal dynamics within the locker room. What started as subtle disagreements during practice sessions, according to whispers among players and coaching staff, eventually spiraled into outright clashes. Myles is said to have attempted multiple times to address the issues privately, offering advice, corrections, and sometimes even mentorship, only to be met with what insiders describe as dismissive or deflective responses. For a player who prides himself on discipline and team cohesion, DILLON's attitude reportedly pushed him past the breaking point. Those who have witnessed Myles in moments of frustration say that while he rarely raises his voice, when he does, it carries a weight that is impossible to ignore, a combination of authority, disappointment, and the unmistakable edge of someone who has finally had enough. The exact details of the confrontation remain somewhat murky, as both players have remained tight-lipped publicly, but the echoes of the incident are impossible to ignore. Sources suggest that the message Myles sent wasn't merely a stern word or a subtle warning. It was a definitive "enough is enough" moment. The phrase reportedly used, "Chega," has reverberated across locker rooms, social media, and fan communities alike, with many speculating that this could mark a turning point in the dynamics of the team. Those close to Myles say this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment reaction. It was the culmination of countless small irritations, mistakes, and what he perceives as a lack of accountability. He's been patient, understanding, and professional, but as insiders note, patience has limits, and Dillon apparently reached the threshold of tolerance for one of the most respected figures in the squad. Fans are already dissecting every nuance of the situation, poring over past games, practices, and interactions to try to determine exactly what led to this eruption. Social media chatter suggests that Dillon's behavior has not gone unnoticed, with some posts alleging repeated missed assignments during critical games, questionable decisions in high-pressure moments, and even lapses in communication that allegedly left teammates scrambling. While it's impossible to verify every claim, the consistency of the narrative from multiple insiders makes it clear that there has been an ongoing friction point. Many speculate that Myles' public message may also serve a dual purpose, not just as a direct warning to Dillon, but as a broader signal to the team that standards will no longer be negotiable. Leadership, in this context, isn't just about skill. It's about accountability, respect, and ensuring that the collective effort isn't undermined by individual lapses. Interestingly, the timing of Myles' outburst aligns with a critical period for the team. Rumors suggest that upcoming matches are particularly high stakes, and tensions were already elevated as everyone feels the pressure to perform. Some analysts argue that this confrontation could either serve as a catalyst for improvement or risk deepening divisions if not carefully managed. Insider commentary implies that Myles is acutely aware of this delicate balance. His message, though forceful, is reportedly meant to shock Dillon into reflection rather than provoke rebellion. Still, the raw emotion behind it has sparked waves of speculation about locker room morale, potential leadership shifts, and the future trajectory of both players. Sources close to the matter hint at possible repercussions beyond the immediate tension between the two athletes. Conversations in management circles reportedly revolve around whether formal interventions or mediated discussions might be necessary to prevent further escalation. While nothing has been officially announced, the buzz is palpable. Sports pundits and fan forums are already drawing comparisons to other high-profile conflicts in the league, noting that sometimes public confrontations, though messy, can lead to renewed focus, unexpected improvement, or even legendary comebacks. Whether that will be the case here remains to be seen, but the intrigue surrounding Myles and Dillon's dynamic is undeniable. Every practice, every play, and every interaction will now be scrutinized under a microscope as observers try to predict whether this is a temporary flare-up or the beginning of a more profound shake-up. Adding another layer to the story, some insiders suggest that Myles' frustration stems not just from Dillon's performance, but from a perceived lack of respect toward team culture. Reports describe a series of minor incidents, missed meetings, delayed arrivals, and moments where Dillon allegedly questioned the authority of senior players or coaches. While individually these actions might have been overlooked, the accumulation appears to have fueled Myles' breaking point. The narrative forming in whispers across social media paints a picture of a player who, despite immense talent, may struggle to align with the collective ethos, a challenge that veteran players like Myles are uniquely positioned to address. His decision to go public, even subtly, might be a calculated effort to draw a line in the sand, signaling that leadership, respect, and accountability are non-negotiable values. As of now, both the team and fans are left in a state of suspense, waiting to see how Dillon responds. Will he take Myles' message as constructive criticism, or will it ignite further friction? Observers are watching every interview, every social media post, and every game for signs of reconciliation or escalation. There's also speculation that this might influence team strategy, with some suggesting that coaches could reconsider player rotations or roles to mitigate tension. In the background, the league is reportedly taking notice, recognizing that interpersonal dynamics can be just as impactful as skill sets when it comes to team performance. The story, in short, is far from over. It's evolving, charged with emotion, and poised to dominate sports discourse for the foreseeable future. In the end, what we have here isn't just a clash between two athletes. It's a fascinating study of leadership, patience, and the tipping point of human frustration. Myles' public declaration of Chega encapsulates not only his personal breaking point, but also sends a wider message to anyone observing. There are lines that, once crossed, demand acknowledgement, confrontation, and perhaps even a shakeup of established dynamics. Whether DILLON will rise to the challenge, or whether this marks the beginning of a deeper rift, is still unknown. For now, fans, analysts, and insiders alike are glued to every development, dissecting every move, every word, and every implication. The tension is real, the stakes are high, and the story is far from finished. One thing is clear: in sports, as in life, patience has limits, and sometimes a single word, spoken at exactly the right moment, can reverberate across locker rooms, fan bases, and even entire seasons. Myles' message has done just that, and the ripple effect is only beginning to be felt. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!